Hello and welcome to this video. I'm really excited to be working about on this video with the topic of space exploration. So in the previous videos we have seen the details about the planets, the sun and the moons and the other related information. In this video we will be focusing on the human endeavor in the space, how we have reached there, what all things we have done. So let's begin. And before we start, I would always like to say that no matter how bad the time is, no matter how dim the situation is, you can always believe in the goodness of your heart and you have to work, because there is no other way out. There is just no other way out other than to smile, to show back your courage, and to then just get up and do it. So let's start. So my first question is, who made the first rockets? The first rockets. Tell me, do you know who made the first rockets? The Chinese made the first rockets about 1000 years ago. The Chinese. Chinese have always given a lot of new things to the human society. They were flaming arrows that were fired from a basket using gunpowder. So it was the Chinese who invented the rockets. You don't need to be a rocket scientist to build rockets. Lots of people make mini rockets as a hobby, and there is even a yearly contest when people show off their latest creations. And there is a car called Thrust SSC. It has two jet engines. A jet engine could not power a space mission because it needs air and there's no air in space. That's why SSC is not a rocket powered car. So what is jet engine also we can try to understand. So jet engine is something which needs air. It needs to thrust, it needs to put the thrust on the air to get the power, to get the speed. Whereas such is not the case with rocket. So if someone asks you whether Thrust SSC is any rocket power car, well, that's not the case. It's a jet engine powered car. Another question I have is, when did the first liquid fuel rocket fly? So the first liquid fuel rocket. So earlier they were using the gunpowder. Then they started using the liquid fuel. So it happened in 1926 by American Robert Goddard. Okay, this happened by Robert Goddard. He launched a 3.5-meter long rocket. It flew about as high as a two-story house, nowhere near outer space, and landed 56 meters away. The flight lasted just 2.5 seconds. So it was a very short, flight, and it was the first time that a liquid fuel rocket was used. He was an American called Robert Goddard in 1926. Now, tell me, who built a rocket for the war? So he was Werner von Braun, invented the V2. So it was the V2. This was the first rocket built for the war, and it was used by the Germans in World War II. By the Germans. So he was a German, right? And his name was Werner von Braun. After the war, von Braun moved to the United States to help with the new American space program. So he also later joined the American space program after the World War II ended. Why do we need rockets? Rockets are important for space travel. They are the only machines powerful enough to launch things into space, such as satellites, probes, and people. All the parts needed to build space stations have been carried up by rockets. So why do we need rockets, they may ask? It's primarily to travel, to enter the space. And anything that has to be sent to the space can only be done using the rockets. The European Ariane rocket could carry a fully grown elephant. Ariane's biggest payload so far is a satellite which weighed 4.6 tons. So Ariane is a European rocket. Ariane is a European rocket which has a great payload. So it has a 4.6 tons payload capacity. How fast can a rocket go? To escape from Earth's gravity, a rocket has to reach 40,000 kph, almost 20 times faster than supersonic Concorde. Yes? Once it is out in space, the rocket drops down to around 29,000 kph to stay in orbit. So this is the speed that is required to escape the Earth's gravity. This is the speed required to escape the Earth's gravity, and once it reaches into the space, then it slows down to 29,000 kph to stay in its orbit, for the orbit. Remember, that's why we had studied earlier that no space rocket is as fast as Mercury, because the speed of Mercury, if you remember, it is 173,000 kph. Correct? Is it true that Saturn V rockets were as tall as a 30-story building? Yes, at 111 meters high, the Saturn V was the tallest rocket ever made. Most of the rocket fell away once it had done its job. So there's one very tall 111 meters high rocket. Okay, which one is it? It is Saturn V. Why do rockets fall to pieces? Rockets are made in stages or pieces. Yes, so we have a rocket. This is a rocket for us. So it has many stages, and in each stage all of these parts start falling. Each stage drops off when its job is done. It takes a huge amount of power to push a heavy rocket into space. The first living creature in the space was a Russian dog called Laika. She made a 7-day journey in the space capsule Sputnik 2. So if you remember, it was the first space capsule, which is Sputnik 2, in 1957. And the dog was the first living being that entered the space. And this was a Russian project. The young Russian pilot called Yuri Gagarin was the first person in space. So this was Laika, and the person was Yuri Gagarin. He orbited the Earth into a small capsule called Vostok 1. So the name of the capsule was Vostok 1. In 1961. His journey lasted less than 2 hours. So it could only happen for 2 hours, whereas Laika was there for 7 days. And he was there for 2 hours. So it was Vostok 1 in 1961, and first of all, Laika went there for 7 days in 1957. The first woman in space was Russian too. Valentina Tereshkova made a 3-day space journey in Vostok 6 in 1963. So in Vostok 1 went Yuri Gagarin, in Vostok 6 went Valentina Tereshkova. She went there in 1963. And the first American woman in space was Sally Ride in 1983. So the first American woman went to the space in 1983, and her name was Sally Ride. The cosmonaut Russian astronaut Alexei Leonov took a 10-minute spacewalk on 18th of March 1965. To make sure he didn't float off, Leonov tied himself to his capsule. So if anyone asks you who took the first spacewalk, the first spacewalk was taken by the Russian astronaut named Alexei Leonov in 1965. So the first time Yuri Gagarin went there in 1961. Then in 1963, Valentina Tereshkova was the first Russian woman and the first woman who went to the space. And then spacewalk happened in 1965 by Alexei Leonov. Even a chimp can survive a space fight. Ham was the first to try out the Mercury capsule in 1961. Despite traveling at 8045 kph, the chimpanzee survived the 16-minute flight. So even a chimpanzee can survive. This is thing. I mean, this is a quirky fact. So I wanted to share this with you. American astronauts returning to Earth landed in the sea and were picked up by the helicopter. The capsules had huge parachutes to slow down their fall and rubber rings so that they would float. So the American astronauts used to land in the sea when they returned from the space mission. Capsules got extremely hot. When a capsule re-entered Earth's atmosphere, its surface heated up to 3000 degrees Celsius, twice the temperature needed to melt iron. But they didn't melt because they were protected by a special heat shield. So when the rocket re-enters the Earth's atmosphere, it gets heated to 3000 degrees Celsius, which is 2 times than iron's melting point. But because it is coated with a shield, it gets protected and doesn't catch fire. Who came down to Earth with a bang? Russian capsules landed on hard ground. The cosmonauts bailed out and parachuted down the last few kilometers, but even so, many broke a few bones. They usually had to spend months in the hospital recovering from the landing. So the Americans landed in the sea, the Russians landed on the ground, and therefore they incurred some kinds of injuries. Machinery on board a capsule was radio linked to mission control. This meant people knew exactly where to find the astronauts. And Voskhod 2 was the capsule carrying Alexei Leonov, the first spacewalker. The autopilot machinery went wrong and the capsule ended up 1000 km off course in a snowy forest. So it happens that machines can sometimes not able to take the correct signal and people do get lost. Then another question I have is, who first set foot on the moon? So until now we were discussing the space. Now we are discussing who went to the moon first. So we all know that it's Neil Armstrong. Neil Armstrong is the one who stepped on the moon for the first time in 1969. So as we have seen, the Russians started this journey first with the dog Laika in 1957. Then in 1961, Yuri Gagarin went there. In 1963, Valentina Tereshkova went there. Then Alexei Leonov went there in 1965. We also find out that in 1969, Neil Armstrong landed on the moon. He had flown there in Apollo 11 with Buzz Aldrin, who followed him onto the moon's surface, and Michael Collins. So there were other two people, and their names are Buzz Aldrin and Michael Collins. Okay, there should have been 7 manned missions to the moon. 2 days into Apollo 13's journey to the moon, its oxygen tanks exploded. It took a nail-biting 4 days to bring back its crew to Earth. How many moon missions were there? There were 6 manned Apollo landings on the moon and about 80 unmanned ones too. Apollo 17 landed the last astronauts on the moon in 1972. Is it true that there are footsteps on the moon? Well, yes. There is no atmosphere on the moon, which means there is no wind either. Tire tracks and footprints in the dusty surface will be there for hundreds of years. So footsteps just remain there. Footsteps remain on moon because there is no atmosphere, no wind too. Who first drove on the moon? In 1971, Apollo 15 carried a lunar rover. David Scott and James Irwin drove the battery-powered buggy over the moon's cratered surface, collecting samples of moon rock. So it happened in 1971 by Apollo 15 mission. And there is only one room for the 5 astronauts aboard the shuttle. Well, that's not actually the case. The space shuttle was designed to carry 8 astronauts, but it can carry 10 at a pinch. What was the reusable spacecraft? The space shuttle was the first spacecraft designed to be used more than once. Not every part is reusable because it needs new rocket boosters for each flight. The shuttles have made over 100 missions into space. The first was Columbia, which blasted off in 1981. It orbited the Earth at about 27840 kph, about 10 times faster than a speeding bullet. How many space shuttles are there? There are three space shuttles in use today: the Discovery, Atlantis, and Endeavour. The shuttle Challenger exploded shortly after liftoff in 1986, and the shuttle Columbia disintegrated, re entering the Earth's atmosphere in 2003. Shuttles are used for launching and repairing satellites and space research. So, we have to understand what is the use case of the shuttles. So, it is used for launching and repairing satellites. Okay, it's used for launching and repairing satellites, plus it is also used for space research, of course. So launching and repairing satellites and for space research. The Russian space shuttle called Buran only flew once in 1988. Buran was carried into space by a rocket. Unlike the American shuttle, it was unmanned. Now another question you may have is, how do these shuttles land? At the end of its mission, the shuttle drops its speed to break orbit on the opposite side of the world to the place it wants to land. Then it turns off its engines and glides like a bird, landing on a runway about an hour later. Why do astronauts wear spacesuits? Spacesuits act like a suit of armor. They stop an astronaut's blood boiling in space and reflect the sun's dangerous rays. They have a built-in backpack containing an oxygen supply, battery, and cooling system. Astronauts are water-cooled. A system of tubes sewn into the spacesuit carries cool liquid around to keep the astronaut's temperature normal. Cosmonauts took off in their underwear. Yes, in the early days of Russian space travel, spacesuits were worn only for spacewalks. Some cosmonauts just wore their underwear at takeoff time. Do astronauts wear spacesuits all the time? No, they wear them for spacewalks and during takeoff, landing, or when they dock with another craft. The rest of the time, astronauts wear shorts and a t-shirt. How do you get to the toilet in a spacesuit? Astronauts often need to wee during takeoff. Women wear an extra absorbent nappy inside their suit. Some men prefer to do this too, but others wear a special sleeve that carries wee to a storage pouch inside the suit. Now tell me, what's on the menu in space? Astronauts either add water to the waterless food or they eat ready meals such as stew or pasta. Canned fruit, puddings, biscuits, sweets, and gum are all on the menu too. Is it true that astronauts eat freeze-dried ice cream? Well, no. The astronaut ice cream sold in the shops isn't really eaten in space. But on the Mir space station, American astronauts took out an ice cream feast to share with the Russian cosmonauts. Why doesn't the food float away? Everything floats about in space, so meals are eaten from trays stuck to astronauts' clothes. Drinks come in a cup with a lid and are sucked up through a straw. Some astronauts get space sickness. Floating makes many astronauts throw up, and if they're not careful, the sick flies everywhere. Luckily, the sickness wears off after a day or two. How do astronauts wash? The Skylab space station had a shower fitted with a vacuum cleaner to suck off the water, but there is no room for a shower on the shuttle. Astronauts use wet pipes and clean their hair with rinseless shampoo. There were spiders in space. Arabella and Anita had a special mission on Skylab. Scientists wanted to see if space affected how spiders spin webs. Which was the first space station? The first manned space station was Salyut. in 1971. It was launched in 1971, which had room for 3 crew. It was meant to go into permanent orbit around the Earth, but its own orbit was a bit too low. What happens in a space station? Astronauts live in space stations for weeks or even months. They do experiments and find out more about space. They also do lots of exercise to stay healthy and fit. Is it true that your bones get weaker in spaces? Yes, this isn't serious on short missions. But no one knows what would happen if you spent years in space. Which is the biggest space station? The International Space Station is the biggest ever space station. So this is the oldest or the earliest, the first one. And the biggest is the ISS, the International Space Station. The first module was launched in 1998, and the space station's parts are being built by 16 countries. Who needs a toolkit in space? Astronauts need tools to build the ISS and repair satellites. In 1993, a space shuttle crew repaired the Hubble Space Telescope. What's an MMU? MMU. MMU stands for Manned Maneuvering Unit. It is the Manned Maneuvering Unit. Manned Maneuvering Unit. It's like an armchair that carries an astronaut around space. When he or she is outside the spacecraft, it uses 24 little gas jets to move backwards or forwards, up or down. Is it true that the space shuttle has an arm? Yes, it has a robot arm with a hand that can grip at the end. It can be controlled by astronauts inside or outside the shuttle. The robot arm is useful for picking up objects in the space. Astronauts train underwater. Working underwater gives astronauts an idea of how it will feel to float in space. Water makes an astronaut's body move in the opposite direction when they try to pull or push something, just as it would in space. How do astronauts talk to each other? Space is an airless vacuum that won't carry sound. Even if they were yelling, astronauts outside their craft wouldn't be able to hear each other, so they stay in touch by radio. Because space has an airless vacuum, sound cannot travel. So they use a radio to talk with. This is very interesting. Has anyone ever been to Mars? No, not yet anyway. The distance from Earth to Mars varies from 56 million km to 400 million km. Even at its closest, Mars would be a 6-month journey away. Is it true that Vikings landed on Mars? Yes, in 1976, 2 space probes called Vikings 1 and 2 landed there. During their mission, they collected samples and took over 3,000 photos. So the Viking mission, Vikings 1 and 2 landed on the Mars to take photos and collect samples. To collect samples and take some photos in the year of 1976. What used balloons to land on Mars? The Mars Pathfinder probe entered the Martian atmosphere on 4th of July 1997. It used a parachute and rockets to slow down and then a bundle of balloons inflated around it so that it could bounce safely down onto the surface. Pathfinder landed in a river. Although there is no liquid water on Mars now, the rocky plain where Pathfinder touched down showed signs that water had flowed there once. Which robot explored Mars? Pathfinder. So the mission was Pathfinder and it landed on Mars in 1997 and used balloons for landing. The robot it had carried along was named as Sojourner, okay, which was a radio controlled from Earth. It had a camera and devices for studying the soil and rock. Now tell me, which was the first satellite in space? Sputnik 1. Sputnik 1 was the first satellite. The first satellite to orbit the Earth. It was launched by the Russians in October 1957. The same year, Laika went to space in 1957. Remember here. We have already studied that. Sputnik 2. So in Sputnik 1 was the first satellite, and Sputnik 2 is when Sputnik 2 took Laika to the space. Is it true that a person could have been fitted in Sputnik 1? Well, no. The satellite was less than 60 centimeters. It was less than 60 centimeters across, smaller than most beach balls. Sputnik was just a radio transmitter. It was just a radio transmitter, really. But it was very important for space exploration. Can you see any satellites from Earth? Yes, you can see satellites moving across the sky when the sun is shining on them, but it is dark on Earth. The best time to spot satellites are the 2 hours after sunset and the 2 hours before sunrise. So the sunset plus 2 hours and sunrise minus 2 hours. This is the period to locate satellites. Okay? Satellites are powered by the sun. Rocket power takes satellites up into the orbit. But once they are there, they use special solar panels to collect energy from the sun. This is turned into electricity to power the satellite's batteries. So basically it's used solar batteries. Right? Why don't satellites fall down? Earth's gravity tries to pull a satellite down, but the satellite's speed as it orbits the Earth tries to fling it into the space. Usually the two forces cancel each other out, but there have been mistakes. So although the Earth tries to pull it towards it because of its gravity, the satellite moves in the orbit at a speed so as to stay away. Most of the times the effect is cancelled out and satellite stays in the orbits, but sometimes it happens that it fails and then the satellite can drop if the speed is not enough. Which probe snapped a comet? The Giotto space probe visited Halley's Comet in 1986 and took brilliant photos of the comet's rocky core. Even though Giotto kept a safe distance of about 600 kilometers, its special protective shields got covered in icy dust. If you remember Halley's Comet, we had learned in the previous video that we can see this comet again in 2061, and it was the Giotto space probe that had gone there to take photos of Halley's Comet. But even after giving a safe distance of 600 kilometers, it got covered in icy dust. A probe carries a message for aliens. The Pioneer 10 probe was fitted with a plate just in case it's ever found by aliens. It shows a man and woman and a map to show where Earth is in the universe. So there was one of the probes. It was Pioneer 10 probe, which had gone out with the message to the aliens, with an image of man and woman showing the location of Earth in the solar system. Well, this is quite interesting. Is it true that a probe was made out of junk? Yes, Magellan went to visit Venus in 1989. So the one that was sent to Venus in 1989, which is named as Magellan, it was made up of spare parts from other missions. So there was one. Now, which spacecraft flew furthest? So it was the Voyager 2, launched in 1977. It has flown past Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus and Neptune. Now it is beyond our solar system, heading into interstellar space. So this is really, really good. Now it is in the interstellar space. Which probe was as big as a bus? The bus-sized Cassini space probe. Cassini. Cassini space probe, so basically it is as big as the bus, had another probe called Huygens on board. It reached Saturn in 2004. Okay, it's already there at Saturn. Cassini beams data back to Earth about Saturn's rings, moons, and the planet itself. So this is very interesting. So Cassini is related with the Saturn. First, it's all for today's video. It has been quite some interesting fact in this video. I hope you have liked it, and we will come up with more such videos. Please take care and please revise. We will be doing a short quiz once we wrap up this space exploration. Then we'll be moving on to the other topics. Until then, take care. Have a good time.